Hey, happy Monday, everyone. Time for another Mansplaining the Masters with me, Mark. I'll be doing the mansplaining. Today's featured painting is this by Helene Scherfbeck. I'm mispronouncing that. Here's how Wikipedia pronounces it.
Helene Scherfbeck.
That's the correct pronunciation. Don't let the simplicity and the light touch fool you. She is a masterful painter. Here are a couple of examples of things she did when she was in her mid-20s. But later in her life, like a lot of artists, she let go of that more heroic realism in favor of something a little quieter, something a little more abstract. So I admire that a lot about her. These paintings were completed in her 70s. But what I want to talk about today is something I refer to as the hierarchy of details. You're all familiar with the idea of a focal point, I'm sure. And in this case, I think the focal point sits right there. But it's not the only thing to look at. It's not the only detail that matters. Let's just focus on what's happening inside the apples. It isn't just one focal point and then everything else is treated in a uniform way. What she's doing here is she's setting up levels of attention. Here's how she's doing it. This to me feels like the primary detail because it is the sharpest, it has the highest amount of contrast, and it's the most saturated. There are other details that are equally sharp. There are other details that are equally saturated, but this is the one with the sharpness and saturation simultaneously. So that to me is the primary detail in our hierarchy. To me, the secondary detail will be this one because it has a lot of sharpness, but the color contrast is slightly less. It's not white against red. Now it's a kind of yellow, a pale yellow against a little more pale red. And so that one to me qualifies as the second most important. This one over here becomes the third most important because the contrast in value and temperature is much lower and the shapes are a little bit softer. The actual highlights themselves are slightly softer. And so it sets up just among these three. I'm also just going to group these two back here. To me are so loosely painted that they don't feel exactly as details. They feel a little bit more like they belong in with this information. The next time you have a painting with multiple similar objects, you can create a hierarchy. So you don't just have one single focal point. Now you have this bit of movement. And often people will put these into a triangle, as she has done. I do that a lot myself. So if you want to use this trick in your own work, it's great. The keys are sharp edges, high contrast of value, and saturation, which is exactly what she's doing there. So give it a try. Hierarchy of details will add a degree of subtlety, so you don't just treat every object the same visually. There's a very subtle hierarchy going on between those details. And for those of you who are not signed up yet, we're about to restart Crit Club. Go to my website, click on Crit Club, and you can join right there for free. I hope to see you there.